Oh boy, this episode of Demon Slayer, haha, lots of twists and turns. So I think like this series is going to go one way, but then suddenly it like takes like, it jerks to the left and just goes a completely another different direction. And then it jerks like right and then just goes another completely different direction. That's what it feels like to watch this season of Demon Slayer, and it is incredibly exciting every step of the way. Also, to the guys and gals out there that are creating lewd Nezuko art, when I told you specifically not to because you watched my video and you did it anyways just to spite me, I don't like you. Anyways, let's get into the video. Generally speaking, the episode pretty much just picks up where we left off with the last one, and that is the Daki and Nezuko fight continues. Nezuko is basically, you know, just stabbing her foot directly into Daki, which is absolutely brutal. Like, oh my god. And then I love this because Tanjiro, while this is happening, is seeing visions of his siblings telling him to wake up. I like this because this, to me, as we'll talk about more later in this video, this is when Demon Slayer is really good, in my opinion, when it's able to bring these emotional elements like people from the Komodo family's past and to use them in such a way to, you know, have a better emotional resonance in the series. I love that kind of stuff. And this is a great example of that. But then Daki cuts Nezuko into pieces, literally. This was so cool. And not only that, but what's even cooler about this is when Nezuko is cut into pieces by Daki, all of her burning blood gets all over Daki and starts to burn her. And I'm just like, well, that is just ingenious. I mean, this is such a great way they're doing this fight already. I love the back and forth of this already early on this far. And it's really cool because it seems like they are, at least seemingly with the little interactions they've had in this fight and in this episode, there certainly seemed to be more of a match than I expected. Both are extremely resilient and actually surprise one another on multiple occasions. Like, for example, you know, Daki gets her head blown to bits by Nezuko, but at the same time, Daki is able to slice Nezuko into bits and they're able to regenerate like almost immediately. And then it's Nezuko's, you know, burning blood, which is able to, you know, even out the fight once again. And then, you know, it just keeps going, right? And that's what's really cool about this so far, is that they seem to be somewhat of a little bit of a match. And speaking of actually the limbs getting cut off, this is really interesting because, you know, so far in the series, we've been told countless times over and over again, you know, when you get your head decapitated as a demon, that's it. That's game over. Well, it seems these rules are being rewritten, or rather maybe more expanded upon than we originally thought they were. Maybe it's not as simple as your head getting decapitated, because I think I have a theory on this. I think that when you're one of the upper moons, especially a higher ranked demon, I don't think it's one of these things where you simply get your head cut off and it's game over. I think probably it's, you got to do something a little bit more extreme than just getting your head cut off. And I think the same thing goes with Nezuko, which we'll talk about more about what I think her rank is. I think she's definitely one of the upper ranks, but we'll get into that in a little bit in this video. So Nezuko smashes Daki's head and becomes a little bit sadistic, knocks Daki through a building and goes to, you know, continue fighting when Nezuko sees a human and tries to make the jump at the human to eat this woman, and Tanjiro actually stops her before she's being able to be eaten. And all I can think about when this happens is, you know, just Nezuko noises again. I don't know if like you guys do this or not, but I actually kind of look forward to these noises because I find them actually hilarious. I just love the first episode, I believe, where she's just going just over and over. She sounds like a zombie of some kind, or like a wild animal. I love it. I love the voice actress for Nezuko because she gets paid to just literally go and that's it. Good for her getting that payday. But it's pretty brutal when Tanjiro tries to stop Nezuko because Nezuko is like clawing Tanjiro, headbutting him in the head, and she's really lost it. Like, she is in a whole other world. This is a Nezuko we've never really seen before. It just seems like she's become way more demonistic than we've honestly ever seen her, probably since the first episode. And I love Tanjiro pleading to Nezuko, you know, apologizing that he's sorry for trying to make her fight and all of this. And it's so heartbreaking because you really feel it, you know, you really understand where he's coming from. And once again, I think this is just another point where this is Demon Slayer at its best in many ways, at least in emotional context and a written character context, because it's sad, you know, like you want to see these two prosper and not fight but then we get to see a fight, and I'm not gonna lie, it was really cool because Nezuko is smashing Tanjiro through walls and floors and all this, and I'm like, well, you know, I don't want them to fight, but at the same time, do I? Then we see Daki, who looks like an extra in a horror movie. I mean, I am impressed. I really am. She is like got a completely charred face. She's showing bone. I mean, it is gnarly what she's looking like. Like, UFO Table did a great job with this, but Daki is super impressed that Nezuko can use a blood demon art, and because of the blood demon art, burning blood itself, actually her wounds will take some time to heal, and for pretty much nearly the rest of this episode, we see Daki in this state, and you know, as a Daki simp, as a big Daki fan, it's hard to see. It really is, but at the same time, I like Daki battle damage state too. That's pretty badass for her to, you know, take on all of this damage and kind of still just kind of shrug it off, really. I mean, that's kind of badass. I don't really want to look at it. It looks terrible, but Daki's really badass, and I really appreciate that, and that is, I love this character. So Tengen shows up, yay! He's very impressed by Nezuko's flashy demonization. Oh my god, Tengen is a hoot and a holler, let me tell you. So Tengen, essentially, he just goes outright and ignores Daki, just goes to continues to talk to Tanjiro about Nezuko's actions and her state, and then Tengen turns around, calls Daki weak, and not the one he was looking for, not one of the upper moons, and cuts her head off. And this is the part in the episode where I'm like, please don't, please? Like, don't kill Daki like this. And don't get me confused. This is not me sipping on Daki. This is just literally me, like, outside of the joke, going, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to just go ahead and outright just, you know, kill Daki in the middle of an episode, not even really addressing it, not even pretending she's that big of a threat, even though she really is, honestly. But thankfully, that's not actually what happens. While he cut her head off, he does say to Tanjiro the fight isn't over, and then you're like, okay, good. And this is getting to the part of the episode where you're like, wow, Daki's still alive. How in the heck does that work? We'll talk about that though in just a second. I have a lot of theories on that. So Tengen's basically talking to Tanjiro, is like, yo, you gotta do something about this. Sing her a lullaby or something. Just make her go to sleep. Make her stop. Sing her something, man. You're a singer. You got a sweet voice. I don't know if he says all that. Definitely doesn't, but, well, Tanjiro does. He sings Nezuko a lullaby, and it works, and all I can think is just how sweet. Nezuko turns into a little kid again, little small Nezuko, and it's so adorable. But along with that, we get this scene where Nezuko remembers her childhood with Mama Kamado, and it's really, really cute. It's really, really wholesome, and this is what I'm talking about, man. This is some really good stuff. That being said, Daki is still alive, thankfully. And, well, Daki is basically dissed pretty hard by Tengen, says that she's not an upper rank Moon 6, and all I could think of is, what? What do you mean? It like says it in her eye, like she has all the markings on her body and her face, like she's definitely an upper rank, you know, at the very least. Tengen, what are you talking about? Daki starts to cry as if she's a child not getting her way, and I am immediately like, what? As we know, I'm a big fan of Daki. Like, I'm a Daki simp. This made me question everything right here. What? Why? She just starts crying, and she goes, the way she responds to Tengen is like, Tengen's like, you're not an upper rank, and she's like, yes, I am an upper rank, and Tengen says, no, you're not. Yes, I am. Like, that's the way it came off, and I am immediately, like, at least a couple notches more unattracted to Daki now because of that. Not that that matters at all, I'm just, you know. Anyways, moving on. So she calls for a person named Gyutaro, and a person just comes out of her body? What? And so Gyutaro, basically tells her that she's cute and to protect her head because it's in this asset and all this, and ooh, he's really fast. Tengen was able to block the blow, but dang. I don't know who this guy is, but he's looking really cool too. He's like malnourished to the point where he looks like he's dead, like he's almost extremely dehydrated and just shriveled up. I mean, he looks rough, really rough. Oh boy. And then Tengen and Gyutaro fight, and it is absolutely beautiful. I love the use of bombs from Tengen. Also as well, just visually speaking, I love the warm orange glow of this scene combined with the blood running down Tengen's head. Also, as well, the use of blood demon art. In my opinion, this is so far the most unique, at least visually speaking. It seems like he can control the blood, almost congeal it in a way to manipulate it, and then that's how he uses it. But I mean, Gyutaro himself is a very interesting fellow to say the least. He scratches himself quite a bit. He apparently cannot gain weight no matter how hard he tries. I mean, this whole thing with him is pretty interesting. I like his demon form like already. It's brutal to look at, but at the same time, it's really cool. Also, the fact that the whole twist of this episode, I suppose, at the very end was that Daki and Gyutaro are actually kind of, like a package deal. It's like a 2-for-1 in many ways. They are both the same demon, which actually, does that mean they have to behead both of them at the same time, or does Tengen have to behead Gyutaro? That is interesting. I think it probably would have to be both at the same time, or in a short span of time, I should say. But at the same time as well, I mean, I don't know, it could just be Gyutaro that he has to behead to kill both of them. Or is it one of those things where can they be beheaded like separately? Because we did see Nezuko, like I said earlier, get beheaded and survive. So is it one of those things where upper rank demons just require something else to kill? Maybe like a, I don't know, a stake through the heart or something like that. Not something that, generic, but, something in that vein. Maybe, like I don't know, some enchanted sword. I have no idea. Although it is pretty interesting when you think about all of this, because they have been able to, at least in this season, really throw the mechanics of Demon Slayer kind of, on its head a little bit. And, well, at least for the upper rank demons and stuff. And I think that is very interesting. Also, just being able to see blood demon arts again, and not just only again, but in this form and fashion is quite incredible. I also got to commend as well, I think I forgot to mention in the top of the video, but Nezuko is basically Ryder from Fate, pretty much all of her moves and everything, so that's pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. Honestly, I think this season of Demon Slayer is probably the best yet. I think it's already top season 1, and it's definitely up there with Mugen Train already. And as well, God, Daki's voice actress, I don't know her name. I'll figure it out after I get done recording this video, but dude, she's the best. I love her to death. She needs a raise. She is the perfect amount of bitchy, but at the same time, when she cried in this episode, it was, the most beautiful cry ever. It was so satisfying. She's so good. A perfect, phenomenal casting. You cannot get better than that Daki. That is Daki to me. Overall, what I really enjoyed about this episode is that it was just really nice to see that for Nezuko, it's her family, which will always remind her of her humanity. And I think Demon Slayer, like I said earlier, it's just at its best emotionally when there's a lot of familial and, emotional moments like this. In my opinion, this is what I kind of watch Demon Slayer for, are these big hype moments and then the emotional stuff, which I think gives a lot of meaning beyond just, cool fights. Which as for, speaking of familial and stuff like that, as for Daki and Gyutaro, how perfect would it be to have Daki and Gyutaro be the literal evil equivalent to Tanjiro and Nezuko? I mean, you can also see in his eye that he is an upper rank 6, and if true, this probably explains what Tengen said about Daki, about the person he was looking for that wasn't her. I think it's important to note that I just noticed that Daki can regenerate clothing, but not Nezuko or any of the other demons. I'm not sure what that means, but we can see that in the previous episode, in this episode especially, where Nezuko gets sliced up and she's not getting any of her clothing back, while Daki does. If we remember in the last episode, Tanjiro rips off her leg and she regenerates her leg with the clothing intact. That's interesting. I don't know what that means. Also, the markings on these demons' bodies. It's something that I think not many people have been paying attention, but I've been paying attention to it each week, and I've been thinking, do the markings on Daki, Nezuko, and Gyutaro designate like they're an extremely powerful demon? I think that's quite obvious that yes, it does. It's just interesting to think about. So So I don't think we've seen any other demons besides Akaza with markings on them like that. So maybe these extra markings are not only able to designate who they are, as a, if they're an upper rank moon or something like that, but as well, maybe their power levels to a certain extent. Like in that moment, like, how Daki doesn't have the markings on her when she's in her air quotes human form. Just, some kind of visual distinction to go, yeah, they're now in their like true demon super powered form. I love to hear your thoughts and theories, reactions to this episode, but as well, if you haven't, check out my videos on Attack on Titan and my last video on Demon Slayer, which I think you guys will enjoy if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.